Cyanide Studios' semi-open world stealth horror game has finally arrived, and players everywhere can finally enter madness. Welcome to the Ruby Tuesdays review for Call of Cthulhu. Taking place on the fictional island of Darkwater, Call of Cthulhu focuses on private investigator Edward Pierce as he tries to piece together the mysterious death of a family. However, not everything is as it seems, and Pierce eventually must face a terrible secret plaguing the island. Based off the famous H.P. Lovecraft story of the same name, Call of Cthulhu is at its absolute best when it fully embraces the weird fiction that Lovecraft is known for. I often found myself pausing the game to wrap my head around what I just seen, and that is exactly what I want out of a game based on Lovecraft. Just like Mr. Lovecraft, Cyanide Studios did a phenomenal job on building up the suspense. When they could have just gone in full horror, they instead chose a subtler approach, and it truly paid off. The game builds and builds until it finally reaches peak horror, which felt far more gratifying than the instant jump scares and cheap scare tactics. The fear of the unknown is at the core of most Lovecraft stories, and it exists firmly in this game. The gameplay itself was addicting and enjoyable, filled with puzzles that were challenging but not overwhelmingly difficult. The addition of several threats while solving puzzles added an element of intensity to the game that I really enjoyed. While the overall gameplay was fairly simple, it was enough to keep me engaged. Darkwater Island is a dark and sinister place, and going from point A to point B was usually an interesting walk filled with various clues and lore to really flesh out the story. The overall story for the game was well done too. Investigating the death of the family exposed so much about the town that I needed to keep exploring. The game itself is attractive with a greenish hue to the world that seems befitting of a Lovecraftian world. Whether I was at the docks of the town or an underground labyrinth, I couldn't help but want to look around and see everything the world had to offer. The environments are very pretty and very well fleshed out. My only real complaint about how the game looks is some of the facial animations.
Tell me if this is the work of madness.
At times they seemed very alien and unnatural. Call of Cthulhu could use a bit more hand-holding as well. There were times throughout the game that I had no idea what I needed to do or where I needed to go, so a tutorial or a hint of some sort would have been helpful. I mentioned earlier that the puzzles were challenging but not overwhelmingly difficult. But in some cases it took dying multiple times before I had the slightest idea of what to do next. This is no Dark Souls, but a little extra help would have been appreciated. Overall, I'm walking away from Call of Cthulhu extremely impressed. Cyanide Studios crafted a world that perfectly encapsulates what a Lovecraft story is all about. Increasing dread and the fear of the unknown. Filled with challenging puzzles and interesting story, Call of Cthulhu sucked me in and wouldn't let me go until I finished the game. Aside from some unnatural facial animations and a difficulty spike in some sections, the game was enjoyable and one that I'm really looking forward to going back to, which is why Call of Cthulhu gets a 9 out of 10. Thanks for watching this review, and for more reviews that go bump in the night, please comment and subscribe and like, and remember, live long on Tuesday.